And the more I think about it, the same can be said for Encanto. Do I love Encanto as much as this? No, obviously. But that's a story for another day. AKA... Man, I've been making way too many promises. Hello everyone. I hope you're all enjoying your Thanksgiving break. But as you can already tell by the title, I'm here to talk about a more recent movie this time around. The cultural phenomenon that I've become attached with, the one and only, Encanto.
Encanto! Encanto!
Encanto is about the magical yet imperfect Madrigal family who live in an isolated village in Colombia, where each member of the family receives a special gift to support their community, thanks to a magic candle given to the abuela Alma during her time of grief. However, the family's miracle is starting to fade, and the only descendant of Alma who wasn't given a gift, Mirabel, tries to find out why. Need I say more? Firstly, I just want to say that I appreciate this movie for what it doesn't do. No end-of-the-world conflict, no stupid twist villain, no beaten over the head political message, nothing. There are actually good, supportive parents. And thank God it doesn't act like it's ashamed to be a Disney film. Instead, it's a simple, introspective musical drama focused on toxic perfectionism, generational trauma, and how we shouldn't make assumptions based on appearances. And the film triumphs at this, for reasons I won't go too in-depth with, as many have already done great takes on it. Some people might be disappointed by this, since the trailers made it look so epic and adventurous, which is fine, but I won't deny that the smaller scale makes it all the more meaningful. Little moments like Antonio asking Mirabel to walk him to his door, or when the family completely ignores Mirabel not being in the picture, or the sequence where Abuela explains her past and reconciles with her granddaughter, wanting to make amends for everything she's done. It still leaves me whimpering. Now I'd like to discuss a few of the standout characters. Mirabel, who often gets overlooked by the family and even by the fans sometimes, is one of my favorites. As someone who doubts himself constantly and feels lesser than others, I can relate to Mirabel immensely. She clearly cares about her family members and tries to help out wherever she can, despite not having a gift. And with Stephanie Beatrix's performance, she's a great protagonist. Bruno, who was ostracized by the family, is also super likable and funny.
I'm Jorge, I made the spackle.
Poor guy can't catch a break. Very much a shy, worrying introvert who can be goofy at times, which I can also relate to. Okay, relatability aside.
Who can relate? Woo!
You really can't go wrong with any of the characters. From the crazy Peppa to the adorable Dolores, most of them are developed and interesting enough to become endearing. Luisa isn't just a typical tough girl character, but is actually really sensitive. And Isabella is more than a stuck-up princess, and hasn't been able to express her true self. Even the least likable one of the group, Abuela, gets a great backstory and a hopeful redemption. And how can you not love the Casita, man? This is the kind of house we'd all want to live in, or at least visit. But maybe I just have a thing for anthropomorphized houses. The way it's animated has so much creativity put into it. The animation in general, too, is absolutely breathtaking. From the vibrant colors in the background, to the patterns in everyone's clothing, to the lively movements and expressive designs of each character, it's an absolute spectacle for the eyes and the ears. Which brings me to the part you've all probably been waiting for, the music. More specifically, the songs by Lin-Manuel Miranda. Every song is phenomenal, and I find myself lip-syncing to each one every time I hear them, and the awesome choreography and ever-so-changing visuals just amp them up to a whole nother level. And because I didn't go over the Oompa Loompa songs individually, let's do that here. The Family Madrigal, despite being such a huge exposition dump, is an energetic blast and a great way to get your blood pumping before the depression starts kicking into high gear. Speaking of depression, Waiting on a Miracle is just plain heartbreaking. I just want to give Mirabel a big hug during all of it. Dos Oruguitas is beautiful and once you translate it, very symbolic. Surface Pressure is just as powerful as the one singing it. What Else Can I Do is one of my favorites, and is a perfectly wild let loose song. And of course, I've saved the best for last. We will not discuss He Who Shall Not Be Named, no, no. As overplayed as it might be, and besides the obvious irony, it's an absolute headbanger. It has such a catchy tune and is filled with thought-provoking details. I've listened to it an unhealthy amount of times, and whether it be a remix, cover, or a deeper version that I made for myself, this song can never get old for me. Oh, and I'm also thankful that there's hardly any of that trendy cringe humor thrown into this movie. A lot of the funny just comes from the timing and voice acting. If I have any criticisms, I think a few lines felt a bit forced, and I just wish it went on for even longer, but is that really even a complaint? By now you've probably discovered all the little details, along with a few weird mistakes, so I'm not gonna bore you with those here. Instead, I'll leave you with this. How do Bruno's crawl spaces work? Are they like the rooms where they're bigger on the inside? Because there's no way all of this can fit inside the casa's walls. Long hallways, multiple staircases even. I think I've just opened up a whole can of worms by bringing this up, but enough about that. This is easily another one of my favorite film musicals, my favorite film from 2021, and in my opinion, this is Disney Animation's best film since... No, absolutely not. Saw it once and I liked it. Too preachy. That was your mistake, Disney. No. Geez. Wreck-It Ralph? Yeah, I guess so. Wow. I think I've talked long enough about my thoughts on the movie itself. Now I should describe its impact. As we all know, Encanto took the world by storm. It was kinda glossed over when it first came out, but once it released on Disney+, people couldn't get enough of it. From Shafrillis to MatPat to that angsty teen who lives across the street, almost everyone and their abuela loved it. And obviously, I'm among that everyone. I honestly didn't expect this to happen, as I haven't really enjoyed that much from Disney's modern output. A lot of it has felt manufactured or been a defilement on something I care about. But then here comes this random little musical out of the blue, and at first I hardly gave it any attention. I might have watched one review for it out of curiosity, and that was it. But once I stumbled upon We Don't Talk About Bruno, I was almost immediately drawn in. I wanted to hear all the songs. I started watching more of the movie online in small clips, and I began checking out all the theories, fan content, and more coming from it. And by this point, I had fallen in love with it. And it's kind of funny, because I had only just become fascinated with another franchise right before this. And it really must say something when my most popular video is centered around this movie. However, it wasn't until a screening at my local library that me and my mother went to that I finally got to see it in its entirety, all in one go, the correct and proper way. And this really packed a punch because by the film's ending, I was starting to cry, despite seeing said ending multiple times already. Just goes to show how much Encanto meant to me. And boy does it mean a lot to others as well. This film came out at the perfect time for people, since most of us were coming out of the soul-crushing lockdowns and isolation, and its topics of inadequacy really struck a chord with folks, myself included. Now's not the time to really discuss this, but 2022's been a time of turmoil for me here and there, a lot of which comes from family drama, but also from the overwhelming amount of stuff happening at once. And this film has undeniably helped me power through it. Plus, it's engrossed me into learning more about Colombian culture, which is a good thing. Now, I understand a lot of people are sick to death of Encanto, from how everyone is referencing it every 5 minutes, or from how toxic the fandom might be. I get it. I mean, that's why I made sure to take a break from it to avoid the inevitable burnout. Heck, that's what I do with everything I'm a fan of to begin with. But even with that said, I can't help but keep finding myself coming back to it again and again whenever I feel like it, and I'm not ashamed to admit that. Like, dang, I'm almost getting nostalgic for it now, despite it only being a year old. Again, I recommend the videos by Cinema Wins, Cinema Therapy, and Chefrillis Productions, as they go way deeper than I ever could. I love the many versions of We Don't Talk About Bruno out there, and it would be a crime to not mention Oreos, whatever, her original piece, Turn It Down. Still amazes me that they got Dolores' actress for it, even if it can't really be placed anywhere in the movie itself in its current state. And lastly, Fro Studio Chamber Sonic's orchestral recreations of the songs. I've been using them throughout the video, and they are absolutely stunning. Please, go support their phenomenal work. So, that's Encanto, baby. A carefully put together, emotional, empowering, gorgeous surprise that I did not see coming, but is exactly what I needed. This film is truly special, and I'm grateful to have discovered it when I did, and I believe it'll only get better as time goes on. I wish for the quality of this movie to become the status quo for Disney going forward. We can only hope. And once more, thank you all for watching, and que tenga un buen dia, my friends.